I held up the credit card bills in my mother's name, $40,000 in SBA days and Gucci bags. And still, my sister said I was just jealous. Welcome to my channel, where we bring real, raw, and thought-provoking stories inspired by the most unforgettable moments shared on Reddit. Here, we dive into tales about family, friendship, betrayal, healing, and everything in between. And today's story? It's about a woman who spent her whole life being the dependable one, the one who never asked for recognition, until she uncovered a secret that turned her entire family upside down. Have you ever felt like the invisible sibling? The one who gives, while others take? Stick around, because what she does next might just surprise you. And hey, if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. It means the world to me and helps keep these stories coming your way.
I've always known my place in the Reed household hierarchy, somewhere between the forgotten leftovers in the fridge and the decorative candles no one ever lights. My name is Cassidy Reed, and I am the eldest daughter in a family that never quite saw me. They say the middle child syndrome is a thing, but what about the eldest done everything right and still ignored syndrome? If that existed, I would be the poster child. At 34, I was the first in my family to get a full-time job, buy a house, and fund my own retirement. And yet, at Sunday dinners, I became wallpaper. That evening, the smell of herb-roasted chicken hung thick in the air as the conversation rotated, as always, around my younger sister, Sienna Vale. There she was, perched elegantly at the head of the table in our parents' suburban New Jersey home, spinning tales of her latest endeavor, an environmental think tank. This was, apparently, her fourth passion project in 7 years. It's not just about sustainability, she declared with a dramatic wave of her hand, the kind that could win her an Oscar if our dining room were a stage. It's about restructuring the entire discourse on climate responsibility through a holistic lens. My mother, Marla Reed, beamed as if Sienna had just solved world hunger. My father, Graham, nodded thoughtfully, his wine glass hovering in the air. And I? I took another sip of my Pinot Grigio, counting the seconds until I could escape. My silence didn't last. Sienna's eyes sparkled as she turned to me. Cass, you're in corporate, right? You understand strategic funding. I think you'd be the perfect person to help seed the first round. Just something modest, maybe $200,000. I nearly choked. You're serious? Sienna didn't flinch. She leaned back in her chair like she was pitching to Shark Tank, not hitting up her older sister for nearly $250,000 over Sunday roast. Of course, she said with a laugh so light it barely touched the surface. It's seed funding, Cass. Nothing crazy. Just enough to get us through the pilot phase. You know how startups work. Actually, I did. I'd spent 10 years in corporate strategy, watching half-baked ideas crash and burn, and the other half get choked by poor planning. But I said nothing. Instead, I tilted my wine glass, watching the swirl of red like it might offer me clarity. Later that night, while cleaning up the last of the dinner dishes, Sienna cornered me in the kitchen. Look, I know I've been a little scattered in the past, she whispered, but this is different. I have contacts now. Investors. A mentor in Zurich. Real traction. And a business plan? I asked, drying my hands. She smiled like I'd asked the wrong question. Not yet, but I have vision. Vision. The same word she'd used back in college when she blew through our parents' savings on that art installation in Vermont that never even opened. I'll need to see documentation, I said, calm but firm. I don't invest in dreams. I invest in deliverables. Her face tensed just for a second, barely enough for most people to notice, but I knew her too well. That night, after driving back to my apartment in Jersey City, I sat on my balcony with Eli Torres, my boyfriend, and the one person who never needed an invitation to read between the lines. We'd met at a startup mixer, and what started as a debate over API security turned into an unlikely romance built on wit, wariness, and mutual insomnia. She's setting something up, I told him, relaying every detail. Eli raised an eyebrow. You want me to poke around? I hesitated. I want to know what she's really doing, but don't cross any lines. He smirked. I don't cross lines. I skin them legally from a distance. He opened his laptop. Let's start with domain registries. If she's even half serious, she had to reserve a name for her so-called think tank. 2 hours and 3 burrito wrappers later, we had hits. She'd registered 4 domains in the past 6 months: ecoepic.org, Green Alchemy US, urbanrootsno.com, and thinkbeyondcarbon.io. None of them had actual websites. 2 were linked to Gmail addresses under the name Sienna V, and 1 had a French hosting provider with no contact listed. Looks like a whole lot of smoke and zero fire, Eli muttered. What's this one? I pointed to a payment confirmation to a luxury design firm in Paris. That's interesting. He clicked through. She hired a branding consultant? Paid in crypto. Wait, what? I leaned closer. Eli turned the laptop toward me. There it was. A full-service brand identity package purchased by someone using our parents' mailing address and a wallet ID he recognized from a previous scam case he'd investigated. My stomach twisted. She's laundering the money through design contracts? Eli shrugged. Could be. Or just trying to make the project look legit before she starts asking investors. And I'm the first test. I didn't sleep that night. Not from fear, but from fury. For 34 years, I'd swallowed every backhanded compliment, every eye roll disguised as praise, every "your sister's just finding herself," while I was busy holding the whole damn family up. Now she was using that exact same pattern, the glitz, the performance, the perfect blowout, and applying it to a professional con. The next morning, I walked into work with a caffeine 4 and a hard drive of receipts. During lunch, I pulled Talia Boone, my best friend and coworker, into the conference room. You busy? Only mentally, she said, eyeing my manila folder. That looks dramatic. It's a story, I said, sliding the docs across the table. And it's about to get real. We spent the next hour going over every suspicious transaction, every vague line item in Sienna's proposal draft she'd emailed me the night before, 5 pages of pastel infographics, bullet points like transformational innovation, and a flowchart that looked like it was made in Canva on Ambien. She spent $3,200 on something called a thought leadership retreat in Santorini, Talia said, blinking. That's code for overpriced spa. She also listed a community engagement grant from a defunct environmental group that hasn't operated since 2017. Fake. Or worse, stolen branding. Eli joined us around 2, armed with more digital dirt. So, he said, I traced a series of transfers from your parents' joint investment account, monthly withdrawals for exactly $4,800. Same day each month. Different labeled reasons: intern support, equipment rental, climate workshop, catering, all bogus. I asked. None of them align with real services. The caterer she paid is a bakery in Milan. The equipment came from a boutique tech store in Soho, where she also bought a $2,000 coffee table. She's furnishing her apartment with fake receipts, I muttered. That's not even the worst part, Eli added. She's listed your father's name as an advisory consultant on 2 of her draft pitch decks, with a doctored photo of him at a charity gala. My chest tightened. She's using Dad's credibility to boost her fake venture. It's worse than fraud, Talia said quietly. It's betrayal. I nodded. It's time I stopped playing diplomat. Gonna confront her? Not yet, I replied. First, I'm going to give her the chance to explain herself. If she lies, you burn the house down? Eli offered. No, I said. I light up the truth and let it speak for itself. When I told my parents I wanted a family meeting, you'd think I'd asked to stage an intervention. A meeting? My father, Graham, scoffed over the phone. What is this, corporate HR? I prefer to call it a presentation, I replied evenly. Bring an open mind and your reading glasses. That Sunday afternoon, I arrived early at my childhood home with folders neatly labeled and color-coded. One for Mom, one for Dad, and, reluctantly, one for Sienna. Eli had helped me organize everything: emails, account summaries, screen recordings, domain lookups, even metadata from PDFs Sienna had sent me. I wasn't just bringing receipts. I was rolling out a full forensic audit. The dining table, usually reserved for pot roast and empty praise, now looked like a legal conference room. Sienna arrived late. Of course. She swept in wearing a blush-toned power suit and a fake smile so blinding it almost made me forget the chaos she'd left in her wake. Almost. Wow, Cass, she said, setting her bag down. Going full Wall Street on us? Just trying something new, I replied. It's called accountability. My parents shuffled in behind her, already looking weary. Marla, Mom, had that tight-lipped expression she wore when forced to choose between her daughters. Spoiler alert, she rarely picked me. We sat. I didn't start with drama. I started with definitions. Today's agenda, I began, sliding the folders forward, is transparency. What I'm about to show you isn't a witch hunt. It's a reality check. I opened my laptop and turned it toward them. First, let's talk about green alchemy. On the screen, a sleek website mock-up. Eli had reconstructed it using code Sienna had purchased, but never deployed. I clicked through the empty tabs, our mission, our team, get involved. Then, the investor page. All fake. No EIN. No board of advisors. These photos of investors? Stock images. This one's literally from a 2016 Italian ad for olive oil. Sienna shifted in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her legs. You're twisting things. It's a prototype. Let's move on, I said calmly. Here are the transactions from Mom and Dad's joint account. I tapped the screen. Monthly withdrawals. Labeled as business costs. Spent at Chanel, Four Seasons Athens, Gucci Milan, and a thermal spa in Iceland. Those were networking expenses, she snapped. Oh, so you networked with a $900 seaweed facial and bottomless Prosecco? Dad leaned forward, pale. Wait, what account? The retirement fund, I said, sliding his folder closer. Look at the statements. Starting 8 months ago. Same withdrawal pattern. Same transfer destination. Marla gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth as she saw her own signature on the power of attorney form. That's the paper I signed at urgent care. Sienna said it was for emergency contact. It gave her full access, Mom. Sienna stood up, her voice cracking. You're all ganging up on me. I was going to pay it back. With what? Magic beans? I said. Your think tank doesn't exist. It never did. Cassidy, that's enough. Dad barked. No, I said, voice steady. Enough was 3 years ago. Enough was when she tanked the nonprofit, then blamed it on creative burnout. Enough was when she used your names to take out a loan she never qualified for. Want proof? I opened another tab. Loan applications. Rejected, but all using Graham and Marla's identities. One even included a scanned utility bill that had been photoshopped. Silence fell like a curtain. Sienna looked like she might bolt. Instead, she whispered, "You have no idea how hard it is to build something from scratch." I stood. You're right. I don't. I've been too busy building something real. After the meeting, I drove back to my apartment and sat in the parking garage for 20 solid minutes, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing anchoring me to earth. It wasn't catharsis I felt. It was exhaustion. 3 days passed. No calls. No texts. The Reed family was on radio silence. Then came the cracks. Talia pinged me at work. Heads up. Sienna was in our lobby asking for you. Security turned her away. She was yelling something about betrayal. Eli sent me a screenshot from our shared cloud folder. Sienna had tried to access one of the investor lists we created as bait. She'd clicked a fake email for a Zurich fund and opened a tracker link. She's spiraling, he said. probably trying to build new lies on top of old ones. Then, my phone buzzed with a blocked number. Cass, can we talk? Sienna. You've done enough talking. I didn't think it would go this far. You really want to destroy me. I closed my eyes. You did that part yourself. She started crying. Or pretending to. I could never tell with her anymore. They're pressing charges, she whispered. Mom and Dad won't answer. They froze everything. I know, I said. I helped them. There was silence. Then, venom. You always hated me. No, I replied. I hated that you were never held accountable. But that's changed now. Click. That night, Marla sent me a letter. Real ink. Her handwriting. Cassidy. We didn't want to believe it. We kept saying it was just a phase, or pressure, or confusion. But it wasn't. You showed us truth. And the truth is, we failed you. We enabled her. And we ignored you. We're selling the house. We're rebuilding our finances. Sienna's facing charges. We don't know where this ends. But we know where it begins. With you. We see you now. Love. Mom. I read it 3 times. Not because I doubted its sincerity, but because those 4 words, we see you now, had taken 34 years to arrive. The next morning, Eli made breakfast and played music too loud. He did that when he didn't want to talk. I let it happen. As I buttered toast, he looked up. You okay? I don't know, I said. But I'm clean. For the first time, I'm not carrying her weight. He nodded. She's gonna keep trying. I know, I said. But now I know how to say no. And mean it. I walked to the window and looked down at the street. Clean. Quiet. Uncomplicated. I didn't win. I didn't lose. But I finally stopped playing a game I never asked to join. And that felt like peace. They say every family has a secret they never talk about. Ours just happened to be wearing Gucci and speaking in TED Talk syntax. It had been 4 weeks since the meeting. 4 weeks since I laid every receipt, every forgery, every carefully doctored dream onto my parents' table like evidence in a courtroom. 4 weeks since Sienna stopped being the golden child and became what she'd feared most, ordinary. She tried to regroup, of course. She emailed me twice, one long, dramatic apology full of, "You don't understand, S, and I only ever wanted to make you proud, S," and the second, colder, angrier, accusing me of jealousy, of sabotage, of betrayal. I didn't respond to either. Instead, I kept living. Each morning I brewed coffee, checked the news, and logged into meetings where people valued my insight without needing my DNA. Each evening I walked past the dusty family photo on my bookshelf and wondered, not with anger, but with curiosity, how long I'd accepted being invisible simply because no one told me I was allowed to be seen. Then came the knock on my door. It was a Thursday. Gray, unremarkable, the kind of day you don't remember unless something strange happens. Through the peephole, Sienna. She looked nothing like the carefully curated goddess of social media. Hair tied back, no makeup, sweatshirt oversized and faded from real use. She held a plastic grocery bag, contents unclear. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "Hi," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "Hi. I brought you something." She lifted the bag. "It's just tea. The one you used to drink when we were kids. The mint lavender one." My heart squeezed in a way I wasn't ready for. "Thanks," I said, but didn't take the bag. She didn't move either. "Cass, I messed up. You were right. About everything. The lies, the spending, the pressure. I was so scared of being average." I said nothing. I thought if I could just make it big, I'd finally be more than a disappointment. But I just kept digging. "Into our parents' accounts," I said. "Into their trust. Into my patience." She nodded, eyes wet. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just wanted to look you in the eye and say, you were always the strong one." That caught me off guard. She held out the bag again. I took it this time. Then she stepped back. "I'm leaving the city," she said. For now, I've got court dates coming, therapy, debt. I'm not sure what I'll be when all this is over. Maybe someone honest, I offered. She smiled weakly. Maybe. I closed the door after she left. Inside, the apartment was warm. The scent of clean linen. The hum of Eli typing in the other room. The soft rustle of my own life moving forward. I boiled water and made a cup of the tea. It tasted like memories. Some bitter, some sweet. Later that evening, I opened the old family photo album. Not the one with curated holiday shots and matching outfits, but the one hidden in the back of the closet, grainy prints, crooked smiles, real moments. There we were. 2 little girls on a swing set. Me holding the ropes. Sienna midair, fearless. I didn't cry. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt released. Because liberation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just a door you finally close without needing to look back. And that's exactly what I did. For once, I wasn't the fixer. I wasn't the forgotten one. I was simply Cassidy Reed. Seen, heard, whole. And that was enough.
So now that you've heard the whole story, what do you think? Was Cassidy right to expose the truth even if it shattered the family? Can loyalty and justice ever truly coexist when blood is involved? Or maybe, just maybe, you've seen a bit of yourself in someone in this story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And hey, if this story moved you, surprised you, or made you see things a little differently, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Because the next story? It's just as complicated, just as human, and maybe even closer to home. Thanks for listening, truly.